Hello, my name is Christopher Valentine, and I will be going over the 7 essential questions of criminal justice. Number 1. Define the primary components of criminal justice and their primary responsibilities. There are 3 parts: the police, correctional agencies, and the criminal courts. The police, they enforce the laws, investigate crimes, apprehend offenders, maintain public order, reduce and prevent crime, etc., etc. I could go on for hours. Next is correctional agencies, and they carry out sentences imposed by the courts, provide safe and humane custody and supervision of the offenders, protect the community, as well as rehabilitate, reform, and reintegrate convicted offenders back into the community. Finally, there's criminal courts. They conduct fair and impartial trials, decide criminal cases, ensuring the due process of law, determine guilt or innocence, impose sentences on the guilty, etc., etc. Again, can go on for hours. Alright, next question. Identify problems that keep the system from functioning effectively and efficiently. There are many different things that inhibit the system here and there, though I found 3 main inhibiting factors, and that's multiculturalism, police discretion, and police corruption. With multiculturalism, there's conflicting cultural values and ideals, and sometimes there's a problem with racism in some cases. And with more cultures and other completely different cultural values, that means less lead room in being able to make laws that apply to everybody, which can just cause problems in the system. And also there's police discretion. Sum it up in one word: mainly discrimination. There's just the problem of some cops just being discriminatory towards certain people. And also some police officers, since with police discretion they're able to choose what they want to do, they may be ignorant or maybe lax in their job. They could literally let people just off the hook without any problems. And again, that ties in discrimination, where they could choose to stop a person of a certain minority group because of that. And also there's police corruption, where some officers commit crimes, and that just causes many problems in the system. And sometimes police just let off some offenders off easy for just varying reasons. Say a white cop lets a white offender off because they're white. Or maybe they're attractive to the cop and they let him off. Yeah, there's many different reasons why. Okay, next question. Explain the function and procedure of the Federal Uniform Crime Reporting, or UCR, program. Well, the UCR program basically provides a consensus of all crimes that are committed annually. And this process works by recording an offense in every criminal incident, because before they used to just put one offense in every incident. And it also records all details of offense, the victim, the offender, the property involved in over 46 criminal offense types, including the 8 majors. And also they now keep track of individual incident reports for all crimes that are committed, and also collect weapon information for all violent crimes. And now details are provided for arrests that are among 57 different offense types, including the major 8. Okay, next one. Compare and contrast present-day criminal justice traditions and practices with their historical precedents and beginnings. Well, there may be many different and many similar things, though there's definitely a lot different things, though there's still quite a few similars, such as offenders are still entitled to engaging in a criminal court trial after an arrest, and they are provided with a lawyer if not affordable. And also, arrests still require reason and evidence of the person committing a crime in order for them to actually be incarcerated. Though there are some differences, mainly those having to do with discrimination. because racial discrimination before the equal rights movement was terrible. Police officers used to just straight up assault, discriminate harshly, and sometimes even spray them with fire hoses. Jeez. But moving on. And also, police power was nearly unlimited before, but now is monitored more closely, even some places even having cameras on the police officers to monitor their power. And also, all criminal court cases are now conducted without any racial, sexual, or anything bias. Because back before, it used to be very biased. Alright, next question. Define and evaluate the present-day value of the Peelian principles. Well, there are 9 of them, and let's just go right through them. First one says prevent crime and disorder. Short and sweet. Second, the ability of the police is dependent on the public's approval, which means that the police can only do as good as the innocent public finds appropriate. 3. Police must secure cooperation of the public to maintain their respect. Well, basically, that's self-explained. They have to have the cooperation of the public to maintain their respect. 4. Cooperation of the public changes proportionally to the police's need to use physical force, which is saying the public can choose to not cooperate with the police force if they are using physical force that is not necessary. Alright, 5. Police must seek and preserve public favor through loyalty to the law, not public opinion. Simply said, don't succumb to peer pressure. Next one. Police must only use physical force if necessary when the exercise of persuasion, advice, and warning is found to be insufficient to an offender. Basically, the police can't just go up and beat a guy who's robbing a car unless they at least try to stop them with their words. Next one, the police should maintain an empathetic relationship with the public at all times. Again, self-said. Just feel that the cops are the public and the public are the cops. Just feel like that. Next one, the police must use their power responsibly and not for personal gain, vengeance, vendetta, whatever. Basically, you can't succumb to police corruption. And the final one, the test for police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, not the attempts at doing so. So basically, it's like school. If you do your work, you get the grades. If you don't get the grades. That's basically what it's saying. Alright, next one. List procedures an offender undergoes in his or her progression through the system. Well, they start off by first committing a crime. And then an investigation is conducted to find if that crime was actually done by a person. And then eventually the offender is arrested, and charges are filed to start a court process. And I'll go over that more in detail in the next slide, though. Basically, the initial process would be the trial initiation, the jury selection, opening statements, presentation of evidence, closing arguments, judges charged to the jury deliberations, and the final verdict. And based on that final verdict, determines if the offender will go to a correctional facility or straight to probation. So if found guilty, they would be taken to a correctional facility. If found innocent, they would be put onto probation. Alright, final topic. List and identify the courtroom procedures. Well, basically, the offender would first be taken through the process of the criminal court after committing a crime that they have proven to have done. The trial would first be initiated and all preparations are conducted for the trial. Then a jury would be selected by the offender to judge the offender's innocence in the trial. Opening statements are then read out that states the statement of the prosecution or defense made in a court of law to a judge and or jury describing the facts that he or she intends to present during trial to prove the case. Any and all evidence collected either supporting innocence or guiltiness is brought to the judge for judgment. There are three types of evidence: direct, circumstantial, and real evidence. Direct evidence directly proves a fact. Circumstantial evidence requires a bit of interpretation to prove a fact. And real evidence consists of physical material or traces of physical activity in the crime. Closing arguments are then made, which is an oral summary of the case presented to a judge and or jury by the prosecution or by the defense in a criminal trial. The judge then gives his charge to the jury, where the judge has the jurors assign a foreman and come to a decision that has absolutely no reasonable doubts in their choice, which is called jury deliberations, which are then conducted, in which the jury goes into a secluded room to discuss their verdict of a defendant. Once completed, the jury comes up with a verdict, which is the jury's final decision of a defendant's innocence in a criminal trial.